Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and this is the Breaker Bulletin for January 20th, 2023. Alright, so if this is your first Breaker Bulletin, I like to start with the life update. This is what's going on. So, last Monday, I worked my last day at my day job. I am no longer a grocery retail manager. I am so glad to be free of that burden. And that means that I've got more time to focus on Breaker Press. I will be doing side jobs and handiwork. I actually had a couple of jobs this week. But most importantly, I've had a lot of time this week in order to sit in this at this computer and work on Breaker Press stuff. So, fantastic. So that was a big thing. I recorded a video on Wednesday and released a video on Wednesday for 10 tips for a successful open table campaign. My open table campaign has been going on for 3 months now, and I feel really good about how it's going, and I shared that with people, and people seem to really enjoy the video. They feel like it seems like people are getting something out of it. So I will link that here. And that way you can check it out if you haven't checked it out already. I feel really good about it. Last weekend, I participated in Midwinter Gaming Convention, which is here in Milwaukee. I had 3 sessions and got to run 4 adventures across those 3 sessions. I ran Cleft in the Mangled Hills, I ran Wide-Eyed Terror, I ran Desperation of the Hungry, and I ran Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. I also, in multiple of those sessions, used the standard character creation booklet. So I got to see people get to use that in a convention setting. So yeah, all good stuff. So, one of the great things that, comes from running things at conventions is being able to play test things, getting to see people that I don't know react to the things that I create, and get, feedback from people that, may not be as worried about hurting my feelings. So, it was a really great experience. I think everybody had a good time, and, it was a fantastic weekend. I really enjoyed it, and recommend that if you've never checked out Midwinter, if you live in Wisconsin or in northern Illinois, or even northwest Indiana, check out Midwinter. It's a good convention. So, with that out of the way, let's talk about Kickstarters. So, first off, Cleft in the Mangled Hills and Hillwood Camp. As I mentioned, I got to run Cleft in the Mangled Hills at the convention, and I actually got to run it from like a paper copy. This is not in zine format; it's just individual pages stapled in the corner. But that being said, I got to experience it reading it from the page, and it was a great experience being able to do that. And feeling like, it's getting close to its final form. It's still got a little ways to go, but it's getting close to the final form. The huge thing that happened last week is that I actually finished the final draft of Hillwood Camp. And so that was sent to Alex, our editor, for editing. Of course, last weekend was Alex's birthday. Happy birthday, Alex. But it also meant that he hasn't had a chance to dig into things yet because he had his birthday weekend and then his work week. But he is going to dig into Hillwood Camp starting this weekend, hopefully. So, what does that mean? Well, in terms of art, there were 2 pieces that still needed to be finished. Carlos Castillo finished one of the 2 pieces this week, and is working on the last big piece right now. And I'm going to show you the conversation that I had with Carlos because it is very entertaining to me. So I had mentioned there's a named monster in Hillwood Camp called Rehek. And the first version of Rehek, I said to Carlos, was not terrifying enough. And so he sent me a new version, and he says, "What do you think?" And I respond, "Is that an arm in Rehex mouth? Approved." So yeah, I am a giant child, and so as soon as I saw that there was an arm in Rehex mouth, I was like, "Yep, this is what we're going with." So yeah, once that last piece is done, that'll get dropped into the layout. Alex is working on the editing, and so Hillwood Camp is literally like a week to 2 weeks from being completely done and ready to go to print. And so then, that's part of the Cleft and the Mangled Hills Kickstarter, so Cleft and the Mangled Hills still needs to be finished, but we are getting very close to having these both done. Now, I've mentioned in other videos, there's a video of 2023 goals, which link right here. If you haven't checked that out, not that many people have, but I go over what the plans are for 2023. But Protectorate, which I know should be finished before Cleft in the Mangled Hills and Hillwood Camp ship out, but I just needed a win. I just needed to get something done, and so I made the decision back in November that Hillwood Camp and Cleft in the Mangled Hills, that was the route to go. And so Protectorate, the goal is still to have it done in April. I've mentioned that in a couple of videos so far. I know that makes it a year past the ship date, but it'll be worth the wait. Just we need more time to collect more art and make some changes to the layout and what have you. So please be patient. But all that being said, so that's the update on the Kickstarters. So next Kickstarter, let's talk about ZineQuest 5. ZineQuest 5 is coming up fast. I talked about in the 2023 goals video that I was leaning towards, because I didn't want to miss ZineQuest 5, because we missed ZineQuest 4, because we were so behind on things. Yeah, I need to do another Kickstarter, and I was going to do Tragedy at Woodwitch Rise. I'm leaning more towards Desperation of the Hungry. This incarnation of Desperation of the Hungry is releasable as is. But after running it over the weekend at the convention, I've actually decided that I want to expand it to like 20 pages because I've run it a few times now, and giving people the opportunity to have a little bit more play in Stennard, I think just adds a ton to the adventure, and I really feel good about that. So I'm adding a couple of pages of judge's notes and additional background and what have you in order to flesh it out and make it something that you can run it without having to like think about it. Because the one thing with this in pamphlet form, you really kind of have to read it and then reread it and then reread it again and then kind of figure out how you're going to use it. And I know that's part of the joy of pamphlets, but as I said, you can run it with this, but I feel like it'll be better if it's fleshed out a little bit more. So that currently is going to be part of what will be our ZineQuest contribution, but all of these Patreon zines will also be a part of that as well. So that way, if you've wanted to have the Bruiser and the K9 character classes, as well as the Standard Character Creation Guide, all of those things will be part of the Kickstarter. So, and they're done. So, you don't have to worry about them, getting in the way of the Protectorate of Jenulane or anything like that. They're done. So, that being said, let's talk more about Patreon. So Patreon, I've been really on track with it. Last 4 months, we had Cacophonous Bandits, then we had the K9, then we had the Bruiser, and then we had the Standard Character Creation Guide. So if you support on Patreon, you've already received all of those things. But I mentioned in the 2023 goals video that I wanted to do either the Icon Bearer or the Outlier character class in February. Yeah, that my open table campaign, I had 2 characters level up, and one chose to be an Icon Bearer and one chose to be an Outlier. So I want to get at least one of those 2 done before our next session next Wednesday. So yeah, that one of those two will be done and ready to ship by the end of the month for February, and the other of those two will end up being March. I did say in the 2023 goals video that I was going to try and do the standard map in a fold-out pamphlet form for March, but I'm going to push that to April because I want to have a little bit more time because I'm going to redraw that map. So that's Patreon. And then the other thing is, I mentioned, that I released this 10 tips for a successful open table campaign video on Wednesday. My goal is to do new videos every Wednesday. That's one of my big challenges I am putting onto myself for 2023. So keep an eye out for another video next Wednesday. So yeah, that's everything that's going on with Breaker Press Games. Thank you for taking the time to watch. Thank you for supporting Breaker Press Games. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. Before I sign off, if you can support the Patreon or make a purchase from us directly through our store envy, or support us on DriveThruRPG, I'd really like to get a ring light so this dark side of my face is not quite so dark. Any support that you can throw towards Breaker Press, ordering directly through Goodman Games, all of those things help Breaker Press. Love you guys. Thank you for supporting, and I will talk to you all soon. All right, take care.